Enter Shaolin.
What are you doing, Larry? Come back out. Come back out. Be a part of the team. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to our members webinar Q&A. And I have no idea which one this is. I've lost count. 6, you think? Yeah. 6?
I think we're supposed to do 6 now.
All right. Sounds good to me. We'll go with that. We have quite a few people on. We have someone that looks like Moto G. I don't know if that's your name or if that's your phone's name, maybe. We have Caleb, Catherine, Dominic, John, Marlon, Melanie. Welcome, everyone. It's good to have you on. Good morning to you too, Terry. Let's see. So if you guys and gals want to send us any questions, make sure that you click on the Q&A thing and send it to me there, so that way it doesn't get lost in the chat. And if you want to be able to talk to everyone, make sure in the to section it says everyone instead of just moderators, I think is what it says. Let me double check. Or panelists, yeah. If you just want to go to us where we only see it, put all panelists. And then if you want it to show to everyone, you can do everyone. And while you guys and gals are thinking of some questions, I'm going to go over and see what we have in our email, because we got lots of them. So
we only have an hour.
Woo, we only got an hour. Well, if we don't get to all of them,
Hi, guys.
it's okay.
Jamie.
Yeah.
This is how we roll.
What's that?
Look, it says we can once you log all that stuff in, it'll let you pick what page you want it to associate to.
But it didn't let me do that.
Because you didn't do this part.
No, I logged in.
And then you didn't.
Well, here's the
option.
question.
So let's go to the question. Moving on. The ADD is kicking in. All right, so Robert says, let's see, he wanted to know if you could explain how to do the stance used for pull. Is it a wide horse stance or something else?
Pole what? Like the pole, practice on the pole?
Yeah. Pole.
So, right. Done one leg exercise and done. Go like this. Okay.
He wants to be able to practice the stance in advance to, get his strength and stability going on.
Well, if you want strength and stability, the low horse stance is the stance you want to take. Obviously, that's going to give you a low root. It strengthens your body. It helps develop your core strong because of that if you've got the proper structure. But in combat, you wouldn't stand a low horse stance. You would stand a horse stance or a cat stance or bow and arrow. Those are the 3 stances you would take. Low horse stance is mainly for training, for strengthening the body. It is not used for combat. The reason why is if you take a longer, wider stance, you might have a deep root, so you're more stable and solid to the ground, but you lose mobility and agility.
Right.
And you can't do that unless you can hit them. That's why a lot of people, they can take certain styles that go into a low horse stance on a hit. They're doing it on the hit, but they're knowing that they can hit them or believing that they can hit them, and that's the finisher. You would never want to really just do a low horse stance in the middle of a combat trying to block the fan because and actually it's funny because I was just talking to a student about that too. I want to talk about the stances, taking a low wide horse stance will strengthen your legs, gives you longer stamina time, strength time, it gives you more power to explode. But when you fight in a long stance, like a long bow and arrow stance or a low horse stance, yeah, you gain, structure and, you're not going to move forward and backwards easy, but you can be top and left and right easier. Right. So, and you lose the ability to adapt to change. And, you have to learn to adapt to change because if a guy's going to change his way of attacking, whether it changes the angle on a strike, throws his hip into his shoulders, adds more pressure. Just anyway, it's harder for you to adapt. And adaptability is how you survive ability.
Right. So, yep, Robert, do the horse stance while you're working on the pole, or before you start doing that, if you want to just work on that and strengthen that up. But like Sifu said, that's not something you're going to use in combat so much. All right.
But for preparation for combat.
Yes, preparation, getting that body conditioned. And we also have a horse stance video on the site, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
We think so.
Maybe.
We'll check into that and we'll let everyone know.
I talked about the different horse stances.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that we have a video on that.
Iron
so
pillars are definitely a low horse stance, and I know I've done the iron pillars.
Right. Iron pillars. There you go. Robert, check that out. That will condition you for sure. And that's in the
for your legs.
Core training, right? Core training. All right. Steve asked, I've heard Sifu talk about landing your punch flush. How do you torque or spiral at the end of the punch and still be flush?
Okay, flush is basically learning how to land on punch without feeling like you're driving. So in other words, if I'm hitting, let's say like this, landing flush means that there's no, okay? Landing flush means I'm still on the point in which I make contact. So if I'm twisting, okay, if you twist like this, I'm not flush. But if I twist right into the point as I drive forward, that still allows you to be flush. If you're snapping your top 2 knuckles, that's not flush. That's not flush. That's still flush. So flushing is about getting into that point. So whether you twist or torque or snap from the wrist, you're still driving onto the point in which you make contact, whether it be your palm, your knuckles, or your forearm, it doesn't matter. Flush is about maintaining that one single point. So just imagine if I took an arrow like this, and this, and this. It wants to go to a point in the end. So you can see if I'm like this, I'm going to get to my point. If I'm going sideways, I want that point. So on 4 sides, it's like a pyramid. I want all the point to go into that one tip. So no matter what's my angle approach on it, I'm going to go to that tip no matter how I'm going to do it. And I always want to drive to that. And that's how you stay on that flush point, no matter how you twist or snap or whatever.
Awesome. So lots of practice will help with that.
All wrist control.
Yes.
And without the arm behind it, you can't do your wrist well. Just remember that. 3 proof is foolproof.
3 proof is foolproof.
That's the Ngo Dac Na way.
And there's lots of stuff. I believe, Steve, you are a full member, Steve, if I remember correctly. And if so, there's some lectures on 3 proof and some lessons on that as well. So check those out. And Melanie asked, in your Iron Pillars video, you have the feet pointing slightly outward. In Qigong, our feet are parallel. I was always taught that a horse stance should have parallel feet, but I have to admit your way feels better. When do you want them parallel, or what? When do you want them parallel and why?
That's a question I really don't know the answer to. No, I'm kidding. I know the answer. Okay, when you're standing shoulder width, it's natural for your feet to point straight or slightly in, and it's okay. As you go wider, your hips from your legs starts to open wider, and so it naturally turns your toes out. That's why when you take the low horse stance, your toes should point out, because if you point them straight, you feel the stress on your knees. It's not the way the body's made, okay? So in a horse stance, when you're in tight, it's okay, because your hips aren't turning away from you. It's driving in front of you, so you can still drive forward with your toes. But when you're going a low horse stance, you'll see that from your hip to your knees, they are going outward to the side, but yet you're trying to bring your toes in. It's not natural, because your ankles don't have that much range of mobility in terms of, like, it flexes this way, that way naturally. It actually wants to go in alignment from your tibial and fibular bones. So so as your leg turns out more, so does your toe want to turn out more. So when you take a lower horse stance, your feet will naturally go out wider. If you point them straight, and I've seen some styles that do that, it actually puts a lot of stress on the knees, and it's really not good for you. Your toes should point out as you go lower, and as you get thinner, they can go in more. So in a low mid horse stance, about the shoulder width, you can go straight or slightly in, but you don't want to go out. But as you go out more, then yeah, turn your toes out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Melanie, when I do squats, I do different squats. So sometimes my legs are a lot closer together, and then they get further out, and the same thing. I can do it straight, but then they have to go out as the further width it is. So that makes a lot of sense.
Your femur actually starts turning away from your hips, so it's going to point your leg outward, and that's going to make your knees go outward. It's going to make your tibial fibula go outward. It's going to make your foot turn outward. And you try to go straight, it's very unnatural. It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, that one.
And it causes more pain as you add more stress to you. It's going to hurt your knees.
Yep, absolutely. Dominic says, when doing multiple Qigong exercises, is there a need to do the ending movement between each one? He's talking about.
I know, the closing.
Yeah.
The closing.
And I guess he just wants to know why we do that, and does he need to do that between each one?
The reason why we close is once we build the Qi in our body, the closing is a way to gather the energy and then just put yourself in a state relaxed. Because when you go to the next Qigong exercise, you're changing the way you're moving. You're changing, like, for example, when you're doing side-to-side push into the dynamic hand, you're changing your energy buildup somewhere. So to go right into it, it's a lot of change for the body. So you actually want to just close, set the energy down, relax the body, give yourself a moment to go to the next one that's different. That's why you close. It also signifies the end of that exercise. Like, that's why we bow in the beginning and the end. It's a respect thing. But it's also the beginning and ending of a point of section. So we close because that's the end of that set. And that's the end of it. And do you need to? I'd say yes, but no, you don't have to. If you can find a way to blend it in.
And if Sifu says yes, that means yes. You got to do it. Don't ask questions.
Yeah, but the point is it's so you can basically end that exercise of the way you were moving and allow your body to breathe and relax at the moment before the next change. That's really why you do it.
It's kind of like resetting. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So Melanie also asked.
One question per person per session. That's 2 now.
No, Melanie, ask away. I run this show. Okay, no.
Well, I'm not going to answer it then. You can ask, but I won't answer. No, I'm kidding.
All right, so Millie says, I once saw a show where one of the characters jabbed another several times, and the guy that got attacked fell down and couldn't move for a while. To me, it seemed like at the time, it seemed like the time I hit my funny bone in my elbow and my lower arm went numb. Oh, yeah, that doesn't feel good. Are there really strikes that can numb the arms and legs like that? Weapon strikes. Weapon strikes.
No, I don't believe so. I've never. I don't know any technique.
You have to show Jamie. So
the bone conditioning.
You gotta understand. Sometimes when you shock your you feel that 1,000 needle pain. There's a tendon under here that if you click it right, it can cause that shock on you. It can cause a 1,000 needle pain thing. There are always weak points in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's no way you can hide it. Okay, that's always there. There's muscle division that can cause pain. There's pressure points. There's cavity striking. I mean, when you talk about the human body, there's lots of ways that the body can get hurt. But don't forget that the body can be very strong too. But there's limitation to its strength. But there's depth in the weaknesses. So our job is learn how to make our weak point the hardest point for the person to attack and our strongest point the easiest for us to use to take the attack. So if you're hitting and you feel your arm hitting, it could be one of two things. One, you're hitting wrong, which most likely it is. But second is like if hitting right and it still hurts you, you're not conditioned for it. There is a physical training that you have to do. Yeah. You know, if you had a broken hand, you still can't punch. Even if you punch right, you're like, oh, that hurts. You have to have some form of resistance structure that can apply pressure to another force of resistance structure. The idea is, like I said, our job is to make our speed faster, so it's more inertia that drives into the person, less resistance to come back. Learn how to get your body right so you can get more forward energy, so it crumbles down before it can come back to you. So all these things, they make the difference. Okay, but if you have a broken hand, I don't care how good your snap is, your 3-proof is, if it's very sensitive to touch, as soon as you hit something, your hand's still gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Now, there's a conditioning. You know, 1/3 of your training is conditioning. You know, it's a physical. 1/3 is technique and 1/3 is sensitivity. So yeah, your physicality is important.
But yeah, it can actually go numb. Like there's been many times where I've been hit in like a tendon area by Sifu Phu. Oh yeah, that's one of my bruises from bone conditioning. You see that?
That's just a bad tan spot.
No, that's a bruise. But if he hits it just in the right spot with a weapon strike, like, ooh, yeah, it will go numb for a moment. You feel have to like massage it out, and when you're bone conditioning and
when you're talking about your hands and your bones and everything, there are points in your bones that are very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they actually hold more calcium, so it's stronger. It's actually denser, and so you can take more pain. But then on the same side, like if you turn from the outside of your arm here, it can take a lot. But when you start going on the inside of your arm, if you roll your hand to the inside, the bones in here are actually thinner and they're more susceptible to break, and they're actually more sensitive because it's not as thick out here. It's got more calcium bones, so it's not as painful. That's why you see people break boards all the time. But if they hit wrong a certain way, like this is when we weapon strike, we strike on the inside. We don't attack them from the strong side. We attack them from the inside of their bones. Just like when you hit somebody on the shin, out here, that shin bone is strong. But if you attack them from the inside, behind the shin bone, it causes a lot of pain. Yeah. So there are bone parts in your body that are very, very strong, and that's what we want to use to create hitting with and condition with, and you know, hide the weak part of our arm so it's not exposed to get as damage.
So yeah, Melanie, check out the bone conditioning section and start working on that. It's going to hurt, but it will help build up all that fun stuff.
Depends. If you do it to a 3-year-old kid, you're going to hurt them. You won't hurt.
Well, yeah, you can do that too. But then your brain has to be very conditioned.
Huh? You're too rude.
Don't hit the 3-year-old.
Okay. You only have to say it once. After that, they learn.
All right. Yeah, roll up.
Hey, Dominic. Greg said he had a good time training with you. Your question is, since you're doing the one-on-one course, should you start the Silam Tao? Well, you're a junior member, man. That means you have access to the Silam Tao, which means you can absolutely start it.
And you should totally also work on the first third of your Tai Chi as well. Yep. And if you want to do some bone conditioning, hey, you can do that too.
Bone conditioning is fun and it feels good.
Yes. And don't kill yourself doing it.
Great.
Okay? Start light to medium.
Yeah.
Don't go hard heavy. Don't go full out. You're
no,
gonna regret
definitely
it, and you're gonna be taking a longer time to heal. Like working out, like I said in the videos, when you work out, you don't go, I want to get strong, so put 500 pounds so I can bench it. You don't do that. You do what your body can do. Let's say you bench 100 pounds, push to 105 pounds, and get your body conditioned up. Then you build the way up to 500. But don't go full out, because training is about breaking down the body a little bit so it can heal and get stronger the next time, and so it can take more next time.
Jamie loves bone conditioning.
But if you do way too much and you cause more damage, now your body won't improve as quick. It's going to take you longer, and you might damage yourself to where you hurt yourself pretty good. So you don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't. And what Sifu Larry and I have been doing, we've been bone conditioning, I'd say lightly, once a week. So we're doing like 10 for each of the bone conditioning spots that we already have in the site, of each one. And, you definitely feel it afterwards. And, sometimes you get bruises. So
25 to 50. 10 is not
I knew you were going to say that.
Hey, my Sifu wanted to only do 10. So it is what it is.
That's because I like to hit her hard.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I couldn't handle 25 of those. That's what we do. So
I want her to be tough and mean. A tank, because she's coming for you guys.
We got the tough.
Why am I coming after
Now
the
we're going for the
family?
mean.
I don't know.
Why am I coming after the family?
I don't know.
I'm not coming after them. Unless they're coming after me. That's the only way it's happening. All right.
This is a good question for you.
So, hey, Russ, by the way, I did get your email, which I was going to cover, but since you put it into the Q&A, I'll
probably
go ahead
copy
and
and paste it.
well, that would have been smart. I would hope you didn't rewrite that, brother. So Russ says, I have a question and related to ice hockey. As you may know, fighting in a professional ice hockey is less common than it used to be, but it's still a big part of the game. When I see hockey fights, whoops, sorry, someone's other question came by. When I see hockey fights, it seems that most of the time fighters square off and then grab the opponent's jersey at the opposite shoulder.
They just go bam, bam, bam.
And basically to restrict their movement and whatnot. But he says what he notices typically they start flailing at each other, roundhouse punches, and they start, grappling and falling over because they're losing their balance. So he wanted to know, is there a way, to root? Are they not able to root because there is no solid ground?
It's hard for them to root because they're on ice skates. That's very hard for them to root just because they're on ice skates. Now, however, you can get some root out of it. You're just not going to get strong root because you are on ice skates.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to slide naturally. But
so balance and
you got to understand that also at the same time, you can connect to your opponent and use them as your means of rooting. So a lot of people grab jerseys and they'll pull, and they just try to take pulls. And that's one of their ways of trying to get forward energy by the pull. I'm not going to answer any hockey guy for how they fight, but for me, straight lines are the easiest. And, if a guy's punching just knocks it out.
Who are you kidding? For him, a slant kick with the blade across the dude's knee is how he would do it. Slice it.
Yeah, that's why I don't play hockey, because they'll kick me out for that.
Right?
But
No, he does.
The idea is when you punch, you see a lot of arms up. If you're going to grab with your arms down, it gives you much more stability. You actually be more stable. You actually stabilize force better. If you're like this, it's going to go up back in your shoulders. So, get your shoulders down, grab. So if I'm down like this and he's moving back and forth, I'm always going to do this and do that. If you go like this, you lock it. And you can control them much better. You're much stronger. It takes less energy for you. Plus, you can use that to pull and create faster jerk-type motions to hit, which snaps better, which gives you much more power. People do over it because they're untrained. I mean, that's all it is. And people like somebody fighting for the next 5 minutes. That's why they let it go on. People like that. It's part of the game. So can you imagine someone just goes, boom, knocks them out in a second? And it's like, okay. Now that guy could be hurt. Then like, okay, well, the people don't want to see that. They want to see long fights, people swinging. That's just part of the entertainment.
I was gonna say it's just part of the entertainment. So his main thing was, would martial arts training help them? Obviously,
of course.
Martial arts
proper martial arts. I'm gonna say proper martial arts training. Someone who says, "Hey, just throw your weight," you're not using strength, and you just might as well just go.
I don't think proper martial arts will help it because it's not going to be fun to watch on television.
Well,
the combat, not the entertainment side.
Yeah, not for the entertainment side. Like if they were really trying to end the fight quickly, then yes, obviously martial arts training is going to help them with their balance, their stability,
personally,
their ability to knock someone out fast.
If it's about taking them out, I grab them. If I'm in the hit, I would go for the headlock twist and drop them to the ground real quick.
But for entertainment purposes, knocking them out fastly, probably not so much. So that was an interesting question. That was fun. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna not skip you guys. I'm gonna hold off on some of the live Q&A stuff, and we're gonna move over and get a couple more of these emails in. So we've got Russell. One question, in core training, there are 2 exercises for balance in the front kick. One involves a chair and the other is the same, but without the chair. My question is, should I treat them as separate exercises, or is the one with the chair more difficult and therefore a superior of the 2?
Okay, the chair is a guideline for you.
Mhm.
Okay, it gives you a reference. Now, if you can do it without it, that's fine. But a chair is so you can actually see if your leg drops down, because in the air, you might not know your leg drops down, but if you have a chair, oh yeah, hit the chair. So it's a guideline.
Yeah.
That's all a chair does. The one where I talked about, this is the video you're talking about, where you kick above, and then there's one where you kick in between. Those are for accuracy, so you can see how accurate and controlled you are in the kick. If you can see it in the air, that's fine. The chair, it's just a reference point. That's all it really is. It's nothing more than that. It helps you in the beginning, but if you don't need it, then you don't need it.
Yeah, so if anything, I guess the chair is not necessarily more difficult. It's just to help you use
it's just a guideline to help you. That's all it is.
And then he had another question. What are your thoughts on traditional cardiovascular practices like jump roping and long distance running?
Good.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Hey, anytime
do
you're
jump
strengthening your
roping.
heart, it's good.
Yep. Also, is there any way to purchase a physical copy of the Ngo Dac Na ebook? Not yet, but that is something that we are looking into for 2017. So Russell,
good question.
Keep checking that inbox, because that is something that we want to do. We've had actually several people ask about that, and I think that would be pretty fabulous to be able to have, that on your coffee table, and you can like introduce your friends and family to Ngo Dac Na. You see what I'm saying?
I'm in the process of writing a very long Ngo Dac Na book,
which will be even
19,000
more awesome
pages
than that.
long.
so you'll see it in about 17 years.
Yes, absolutely. I think there was a question in here. Hold on. Give me a moment. Was there a question in here? No. Oh, here's the question. Okay. This is from our Abbott member, Bob. He says, please explain the differences between Qigong and Neigong. Can one be performed without the other?
Yeah, of course. Qigong is basically movement, so it depends on the range of movement that you do. Where Neigong is very small movement. It's actually designed so you can stay very still in little movements, and it's longer time duration. Basically, it's like holding your hands out here for an hour. It starts to get heavy. Oh my gosh! With Qigong, it's dynamic range of motion. So Neigong is like still meditation, while the Qigong is more movement meditation, like that. It's like Tai Chi basically, where the Qigong and the Tai Chi, they're movement meditation, whereas Neigong is still meditation. It's very little movement. The idea is not to move so big.
And believe it or not, it's very difficult to do Qigong. Very difficult.
It is. So yeah, you can absolutely do one or the other, or both combined.
Yeah, you can do both.
Do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
All right, and
it's like doing aerobics and lifting heavy weights. It's like, or what do you call that? Where people cross training, like that. It's just different workout. That's all.
Yeah. Bob also said, when are we going to see the Enter Shaolin app? That would be awesome for us to be able to use on our phone. And we totally agree with you, Bob. And when we can have the money to develop such a thing, we absolutely will. But that's roughly about 10K to start. Hint. Check us out at patreon.com/Enter Shaolin and donate now. Okay, that's patreon.com/Enter Shaolin.
And if you do donate, write in the note for the app, and then we'll know.
Right. Help us help you. Love you guys. All right. All right. So let's see. Dominic asked, have you ever tested wrist locks against someone who has wrapping tape and gloves? Which wrist locks still work?
With what kind of gloves? Like MMA gloves or boxing gloves? It's very difficult to do wrist locks with boxing gloves, because you can't grab the hand.
Right.
You need to have access to the hand.
Be...
MMA gloves, it's easier, but it's still hard because you don't have direct contact to the skin and the bone. So even if you're trying to turn and he fights, his hand is not really pressured. So in the glove, he can slide. And so it's not as effective lock. That's why people really grab, and you see them, they grab around here and they kind of pull on that. Because one, it's not legal for them to grab the gloves. But two, even if they did, the hand has mobility in the gloves. It's really not locking them.
Right.
It's like grabbing someone's bone here, but yet they have sleeves, and so they can roll on the sleeve and get out of that. It doesn't allow you direct pressure to the bone.
I'm thinking there's lots more effective things to do. So don't worry about the gloves. Going for a street kill.
Well, if you're thinking about wrist locks, you know, like
Go,
I said,
Miguel.
gloves are bigger where you could seal on point like this. The gloves will make you want to go like this. And like I said, because there's mobility in the gloves, like it could slide. Even if you could turn and have the hold on the glove, his hand can slide inside, so you're not effectively locking the wrist.
Right,
So it's not as effective unless you can really isolate that hand, where you can, like, say, hit his thumb, make his hand open so his wrist can't take that resistance, and then you can lock him out because of that.
Melanie asked, should I get my Qigong 10 exercises really good before I go on to the next level, like the 40 breaths, or go ahead and start learning the next step?
If you can get it to decent where it's comfortable for you, where you're not like, how did I do this? It was like this. You know, if you feel comfortable doing it, you can feel your energy. Yeah, you can go on. You can go to the next step. Absolutely. Yeah, but you just gotta feel yourself. You know, I can't tell you, oh, you gotta get to something. You just gotta get to the certain comfortability. There's no love, because you can always increase and get better from it. So there's no cap to that. It's just a comfortability of doing it naturally for you.
Yeah. Marlon commented, he said about the ice skaters, they're not trying to hurt each other. The fighting is more symbolic. It would make sense for them to, it wouldn't make sense for them to ruin their career. Absolutely.
Right.
That would just be dumb. That's their like
Well,
money and their livelihood. Yeah, it's all about entertainment. John Asina said, are you producing any DVDs or downloadable videos soon? Okay, so DVDs,
yes.
that goes back to the Patreon. We're actually looking to raise money to be able to get our second camera. And that is so we can start creating DVDs. So that is something that we do want to do and plan on doing. It's just a matter of funds. And then downloadable videos. The reason we don't do that, John, is because the fact is people, right. So imagine someone pays like maybe they get, you know, in at the $47 junior level, or they even get us for a sale for $27 a month or something like that. And they come in and they can download all the videos. What's stopping a person from downloading everything that we've done for the past 3.5 years and just, you know, saying, oh, I want a refund now?
Think of Netflix. Imagine if you can copy down, download every movie you want.
So
and then you'll be leaving.
We don't know. We're looking at some way to possibly do that for the Abbott members, because they're lifetime members. So why not? They can download, you know, and whatnot. That would make sense for them. But right now, with the way our hosting costs for everything, we'd have to literally replicate the whole site, and then that becomes even more load intensive and all this crazy stuff. So we are looking at ways of doing that. I can't promise that will be anytime in the near future, because there's so many other things that are more pertinent for us to get the site going with.
DVDs are best bet.
DVDs, though, we definitely want to do that, and hopefully by the end of this year we'll have our first one out. So that's a great question. All right, so there's that. And then let's see, we'll go in. We got some Ricky. Okay, Ricky. I already answered him about that, so he's good with that one. Oh, okay. So I already answered him, but I just because there's other people that probably want to hear this. So Ricky was working with some different martial artists and stuff that had a little bit more skill than him. And so he's trying to apply the NDM principles. And what happened is when he would go to spar them, one guy stopped his movement mid-strike and stayed still. He was trying to Hun Sao all over the place, just wasn't getting anywhere. He was stuck. And basically he was getting force from the other guy, and he wasn't able to overcome that. He also worked with a Tai Chi practitioner who was also a bit more experienced as well, and the same thing. So I know what I told him, but I want Sifu's thoughts on this. He was just curious of what he was doing wrong, why it was that he wasn't able to handle their pressure, and what he can do to work on that.
Without seeing you, and seeing what you did, common thing that most people do is the reason why you feel pressure is because you fought them back, simply put.
Yeah.
Follow the principles. You know, when you feel pressure on you, don't push back. Push down to the elbow and come up, and then turn your wrist. If you don't turn your wrist, you're going to use your shoulders. Okay, that's it's just fact. So whenever you feel pressure, you know, I teach my students all the time. We work on that pressure test all the time, make sure that they do it right. You got to get that shoulder down the elbows. That's the first thing. That's why the 3 proof was shoulder, elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist to point. most people, I do it. I've been training for years with people, and they're all calm. I've never seen like someone do something totally different. They when under pressure, they all do the same. Human nature, we all have the same fundamental principle, or one with a basic instinct, and it's programmed. We all have the same program. Okay, so there's nobody's going to be programmed different from another in terms of basic instinct. Your natural instinct is different because that's your training, it's your experience. So how you're going to act on it and how you move on it, that's where it's different. So basically, when you feel pressure on someone, whether like you feel like they're trying to move, you're using your shoulders. You're not popping them up and you're turning from the wrist. You either can pop up and you use your shoulders, or you're going to try and turn your wrist without the drive forward. It's very common people do that. I see it all the time. I've been with lots of people, teachers, other practitioners, and they all do the same thing. They're either going to push from the arm and not drive to the wrist and turn, or they're going to, some people have that training, and then they'll try and turn the wrist, but they don't drive up, and they collapse in the process. So those are the things that you have to watch out for in terms of when you say you feel pressure. I mean, based on what you're saying, if I feel pressure, I can't overcome their force. And I demonstrate this all the time. I have people do it all the time, use every force they can under me. Remember, comp technique is consistency of pressure. You have to apply that. That's your first thing. If you feel pressure increase, that means you're fighting or collapsing to fight. It's one of the two in the end. You got to maintain consistency of pressure. When they add more pressure on you, you should be pushing back. You should be yielding and turning that energy. You should be converting it at the moment. So like this is a good example. I could be in a chair, and so you can see I'm not going to use my weight. Sifu Larry's going to push me. If I'm going like this, pushing to me, you can see that I'm going to fall backwards. But if he does it, do it. I can keep the same. No, push into me.
You sure you want
this? Yeah, absolutely. So you can see I'm working with the energy as well as I'm turning it. I'm not fighting it. My pressure is the same. He could tell me when he can feel his greater pressure.
Greater pressure.
Greater pressure.
Greater pressure.
Yes. So you can see, I don't know if you can see it. It's hard to see unless you can go say, just push into me, push into me, push into me, push into me. So you can see, and I'm on the chair. I'm not throwing my weight, okay? It is common that when we don't have skill, we're going to use strength to make up for it. So what you were trying to do with your skill and the pressure was greater than what you could handle, you went back to strength. That's pretty much why. Okay, basically the way you want to train to get that good, you need a person that does it with you. And let's say you got stuck and you couldn't handle it, say, listen, can you go a little bit lighter?
Right, that was one thing that I recommended.
You want to learn how to control that. You have to go lighter so your skill level can handle it. Like lifting weights, you can't do 100 pounds, ask them to do 90. And if you can do 90, then you build up to 95. Then when you build to 95, you build to 100, and so on, so on. You got to get your muscles to learn how to do it, because what you lack in skill, like I said, you'll make up in strength. You will naturally go back and you think you're using skill because you're focused in your mind, turn, but your body says fight, fight, fight. And so that's one of the things you got to watch out for and pay attention, because that's a very common thing that people do.
Yeah. So yeah, I basically told him, like, you need to really go back and look at all the different principles. He's a light member, so he can't jump ahead yet, but he said he's going to upgrade to junior because he loves what he's learning. And I said, you know, if you really want to be able to further and go faster, then, you know, obviously being at least a junior member will help out. And I did also mention, like, you know, talk to your partner and say, okay, I can't handle that much pressure, so lighten up, and then slowly increase that and work it out.
And it's not,
a good training partner is not going to have a problem.
And it's not going lighter means that the technique doesn't work.
No, it's just that you're not skilled enough.
You can't handle the technique. And so you got to go to the speed which you can learn. I always say go as fast as you can, but within your technique. So when it's going fast and you don't have the technique, you're going to go back to strength. Okay, you're going to use your technique and skill. You're going to use your strength to compensate for what you can't do. So I have a student that I train a lot. His name's Oliver, and he just texted me this morning. He was with a Tai Chi teacher in China. He was in China, and he said the training that he had, they couldn't do anything home. They tried to grab him, lock him, throw him. And he said because of the training he had with me, he learned how to move the energy. He didn't fight it. He said, but he realized, you know, like he was like, you know, if I can't hurt them, then they could hurt me. You know, and I always say in the nitty gritty, comes down to what you give versus what you take. Okay, having great hands of sensitivity, but if you can't hurt them, that's not going to stop them. Right? 3 things stops them from attacking you: knock them out, lock them out, or they get what they want. So if you don't have the ability to lock them out or knock them out, they're going to get what they want. So our training is to get that power so you can learn how to create the control, so you can create pressure that can break them. Because if you can't break them, they're going to break you in the end. Absolutely. If their intent is to fight you and hurt you.
Right. There was one thing that Ricky had said and that I did want you to cover. So he basically wanted to know, what is the difference between Chi style push hands and, you know, what are the different benefits of working with them? He basically thought, you know, are they the same? What are the different benefits?
They both work in sensitivity.
Yeah.
Okay, so they both work in that aspect, but they go about it differently. Chi Sao to me is great for anti-grappling. It doesn't work in combat well because unless the person agrees or wants to stick and stay on you, it's pointless. Okay, but so it's like, why do we train Chi Sao? The purpose of Chi Sao is to feel once you make contact in your arms, you train your arms how to respond to that point immediately and learn how to take the attack. That's really the benefit of having Chi Sao for you. It's to feel the energy, learn how to take advantage of the energy before the person can take advantage of you. To test your structure, that's the other part. So if we're playing Chi Sao and he attacks me and I go, yeah, it's okay. But I have no structure, I'm going to collapse. So that's to test your ability to maintain the structure, that no matter how he attacks me, I have my structure. You see, I'm always going back up and I'm playing from that point. So it's to teach you how to maintain the structure under pressure. It's to see where your weak point is, to expose where you're weak. And then, you're not playing Chi Sao just to hit. That shouldn't be the way to play. You're supposed to play Chi Sao so you can find your weak point and build up from that. So if I'm doing this and he's rolling me and I keep making a mistake like this, I drop, say, oh, can we do that again? I just try to go slower. So I might go, okay, so I need to keep my wrist. Okay, there you go. That's it. Now can you take you down as easy? Okay, I got my hands. So the goal of Chi Sao is to build you up. A lot of people play Chi Sao just to hit. And all it is you're better than that person because you're faster, stronger. It doesn't mean what you do is good either, because if you play someone who knows how to handle your pressure, he can turn around and use it against you. You're only better because he's weaker in that skill. So the idea is the weaker guy is supposed to be built up by the stronger guy, not the stronger guy bullies the weaker guy. This is about training to get you better. The difference between the Chi Sao and the push hands is Chi Sao, you exchange hands. There's a lot of exchange of hands and a loss of contact, two contact, loss of contact, two contact. Where in Tai Chi, the push hands, you're always on contact. So it's always teaching you how to handle pressure without a relief of pressure. Both are good. I'm not going to say one's better than the other. I do believe that Tai Chi builds you more well-rounded than the Chi Sao will, because Chi Sao is very direct and straight. Tai Chi is more well-rounded, so you're learning to do more angles. So just think of it like this is Wing Chun, which is good, and this is more Tai Chi. It expands what the Wing Chun is not having. So, but both are good. I think Tai Chi is better to teach you how to feel with energy more because of like constant pressure on you. Whereas this, you can change hands and it's about getting your structure, bam, bam, like this. So we can play. Whereas push hands, it's constant structure, the constant pressure. He has to handle that all the time. There's no alleviation of pressure. Think of like doing push-up on a wall, and you're pushing off the wall, and you come down, you push off the wall, you come down. There's that alleviation of pressure during that time. Whereas if you're doing the push-up on the floor, you're always under pressure. You can't come off that pressure.
Also, in Chi Sao, it's not on purpose, I don't think, with a lot of people, but it ends up, you start getting worried about being punched because energy's flying so fast and you get hit sometimes. Push hands is a little bit calmer, so you're not playing with all that stress.
Unless the guy pushes you very hard every time. But again, it's about who you partner with and you're working. The stronger, the bigger, more skilled guy is always going to hit you a lot at times at will. That's why he's there to work with you. He's not there to prove how good. It's already established. Okay, you're better than me. So can you get me there? That's what the whole point is. The stronger helps the weaker, so we can balance. And then if I get to that point where I get even to him, now I can start trying to push with him and help him get stronger and him fight to me. But people play just for the hit. You got to understand. Playing Chi Sao like this. Is this going to hurt me? No. Playing Chi Sao like this. Just to get a light hit on the shoulder doesn't mean anything. MMA guys are going to go, I don't care. So what if you hit my shoulder? I'm going to knock your face off.
It's like point sparring, right?
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, and it's not. I always say Chi Sao, the purpose of Chi Sao, is when you get a hit, it should be clean, clear, and unchallenged. And what I mean by that is I shouldn't be like this and go here and go.
We're trying to force it in.
Because I lost most energy in the fight. Your hands, when you're playing Chi Sao, should be here and unchallenged. So if he's blocking this, it's unchallenged. I'm in. You understand? I'm not trying to. And he's blocking this. It just because that doesn't give me power to hurt him really, because he's not going to get hurt by that. That shows me that remember, if you can't damage your opponent, you're not stopping him. So playing Chi Sao, you're trying to train so you get the clean, clear, unchallenged hit. Okay, that doesn't mean you can hurt him. That's where the part of the training, get your pistol shot and know how to. But just to raise your hand up like this, just get that hand like that. That's not going to stop a guy. An MMA guy, he's going to sit there and go, so what? What's that going to do? That attack's going to stop me. That's not going to hurt me. He's just going to keep coming and plow down. Because remember, just touching guys is not the key. That's not Chi Sao. That's not true Chi Sao. Chi Sao should be hit to the point that he can say, yeah, That would hurt if you really want to. Yeah, it could hurt. Or stuff like when we go like this, and I goes to the eye. He can see that. Sorry, but that's in his eye. That's unquestioned. But me go like this and go like this. Just get this. Just get it. Well, I'm just struggling just to touch his hands or his body. That's a waste of time. You're just learning how to just get a cheap, weak shot that doesn't do anything. It needs to be clean, clear, and unchallenged. His hands should be flying off the side where you have no obstruction that blocks you from hitting him. Clean, clear, unchallenged. That's the way your chi shao should be. If you're having that, like just a little bit, just to get me, yeah, I got you. See, I hit you. Don't mean squat. Unless you have a knife, it means nothing. It means nothing. Because I told you, go on the principle of 3 things that stops the guy. Knock him out, lock him out, or they get what they want. The question is did that hit, would that have stopped him from coming in? Would it come up? No. If it's not a hit that would stop it from coming in, then it's a stupid hit. It's just
it'll
a cheap
train
shot
you
hit.
to try to do shots that isn't really going to stop someone. You can see even in the wall walking video, people can take a shot to the body pretty good.
Yeah, and unless you know how to generate that power to hurt them, then you're wasting your time. Chi Sao is a waste of time for you. Remember, you want to train to get your strikes in strong first, and then you want to use the Chi Sao to apply that to that. Not just to get a shot at any means at any cost, just for the lightest hit in the world. That MMA don't respect Kung Fu because you can see too many people train like this now. They're just training for the light hit, and it doesn't mean anything because they don't care about hit. They get hit all the time. They don't care. They'll say, look, I'll eat that light shot so I can knock your head off. So it's a wrong mental way of playing. People play Chi Sao for just for the touch and think they're good because of that. And I always like to say, if you force your way and you're going fast and you force your way, it doesn't mean that you're good. All it means that the person you play stinks. Because if you do that to someone skilled who knows how to handle the hands, he's going to destroy you because that technique don't work then. So.
All right, there we go.
So what he's saying is
listen about Chi Sao and push hands. Yeah, there you go.
Adamantium claws. Then you have to worry.
All right, so Stephen wanted to know if you were ever fighting in the MMA and following its rules, because I already answered this question. I'm like, Sifu would get kicked out because, we're not going to play by those rules. But if you were following the rules, how do you think you would do?
In terms of the striking, I would worry just because I'm not used to the gloves. But on the ground, I'd be fine. I'd be comfortable on the ground. All right. It's just my hands change when the gloves come on. I don't have that that snapping in my wrist. I don't have that comfortability. That's extra weight on my hands. I'm not used to training it. So I personally, on the ground, I'd be comfortable more because now I don't have to strike as much. I don't have to have that weight pulling down my hand. I can still hit on the ground much easier because I don't have to hold my hands up. That I'm not used to wearing the gloves, and then the wrist straps and everything. That when it's hard for me to turn my wrist because when we hit, we snap on the wrist. When we wear taped hands, it's more like this. This is why in boxing and MMA they say put the shoulders because they can't use the wrist. So that's how they adapt it to put your shoulders down, and then that would work because you can't use your wrist. What are you going to use? You're going to instinctively use your shoulders. But on the ground, I'm really good at my ground game, so I'm very good at that.
All right. Donato wanted to know, what's the best music genre to practice Tai Chi?
Anything that's like soft and slow. It helps you to, relax, breathe slower, be calm. You don't want music to hype you up. That's when you want to lift weights. You want soft music, like that. The one we have with the Tai Chi, like that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Nightingale.
Yeah, you can go on YouTube and just type in like Tai Chi music or meditation music and find something that you like and you enjoy. And there you go. Soft,
like
slow,
New Age
relaxing.
music. A lot of people use New Age music. That's the type of music that people do. Transmeditation type of music. They're good. Whatever helps you relax and feel calm.
But there's all kinds of things. Like sometimes I like Native American flute music for that, or the Chinese flute music. So
she has some good music that does calm. Yanni. If you ever heard of Yanni, I usually listen to Yanni all the time. So those music,
just calm, relaxing music that you enjoy, and that's it. Also, Donato wanted to know, among all kinds of exercises or training, what is the best to practice solo for a martial artist without a training partner?
Technique. Oh, am I supposed to elaborate? Technique is what allows you to basically execute your movements well, efficiently, effectively, and optimize your performance without wasting energy. So most of my training I've ever done, yes, I condition. So don't get me wrong, the condition is important. I think that kind of goes without saying. You need to have a good balance, but the technique is what you want. Okay, technique, and I'm writing my book, and I talk about the 3 legs, physical, technique, and sensitivity. Of the 3, the technique is what links the physical and the sensitivity together. So you got a ring here that represents your sensitivity, you got a ring here that's technique, and you got another ring here. While the physical and the sensitivity are connected, they are connected to each other through the technique. So your technique is like the point, while your physical and your sensitivity are your legs that drives it. So your technique is the most important of the 3, because that's going to refine your movements. It's going to allow you to control the energy well. It's going to be the one that optimizes your physical, but it also is the one that teaches you what you need to use under that pressure, because your sensitivity will tell you what pressure it is, and it's your technique to learn how to handle it. So
Right.
it's your technique that is the most important. I train most of the stuff that I do. I train technique. I mean, that's why you see when I move, I'm very accurate to the point, because I train through the wrist. Technique. So, playing your forms is important, because that is your. And people ask me before, like, why do I have to play form? What's the point of doing forms when I could just practice?
We've actually had that come across, like, they're boring, they're blah blah blah. But what's the practical, application in a fight? Well, obviously, you're not going to fight your form exactly.
Your form is basically the way to practice without a partner. It's teaching you how to move properly. That's what the forms are for. It's your, forms are several purposes. 1, it's to teach you muscle memory. Okay. And 2, it was a way for a teacher to pass on techniques down to the student through the form. Here the form has this movement, has this. So I'm going to teach you the technique that form has, and I'm going to show you how it's used. And so it was a way of passing their skill set down through the form. So it's good for that. And the form, depending on what form you do, it develops. They all develop for, obviously balance, coordination, timing, rooting. If it's a good form, the crazy drunken forms, it's a little weird, but it's awkward. It takes a lot of practice to do that. But it's to teach your muscles how to do it without thought, and how to do it right without thought. So if you practice right, that should go without saying. You got to practice right to get the muscles to learn right. So the form is to teach you how to do that. And I practice my forms all the time. When I was younger, it was all the time, because that's how I worked on my technique. I worked, and playing the form is how you feel your energy. That's your form. That's how you get to feel your energy. Like especially in Tai Chi, it's just an energy form. That's just it really is good. But the form is for the purpose of those things for you. And so people go, well, why would I want it for fighting? Fighting is without playing form, just to learn how to move. That's a quick, short one. Okay, that's a quick, short way to get your combat skills up. But the long, invest in long term, like 20 years, 30 years. The form is there to refine your movements. It's there to teach you how to feel the energy better. It's to do all that stuff. You could get good at just sparring and this and that, but it can only get you so far. That's like, to me, like level 1. And playing the form to feel the energy, to understand how to get the energy out of your body and into the point that you want. That's level 2. That's where the forms help a lot, and it's really good to do, especially when you have a partner.
Isn't that interesting how level 1 is like, sparring, and level 2 is the forms, when a lot of people are like level 1's the forms and sparring's 2.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it depends on who you learn. They're both close together. You shouldn't spar. Like, I don't teach my students to spar right off the bat, because they're just gonna have a bad habit. I try to teach them how to do the techniques right. Teach them the form, teach them the technique, work on techniques, and then I will spar them. And if I see that they get sloppy, I say, okay, I'm gonna lighten up, because I need you to perform your technique.
Right,
because once they start doing movements like this and sparring, then what was the point of me training them technique at all? Right. They went right back, and then I know that under pressure, that's what they're going to do.
Right.
So I train them how to say, okay, I'm going to punch you the same way, because I saw you flail like this. Now I want you to do this and do this. And then I'll randomly spar them, and then I'll go back to that same punch, and I expect them to do it right. And if they do it right, it's great. So you learned it. And if they do it wrong, it's okay, I'm going to do it again. We'll do another 20, 30 times, get your muscles used. Then I'm going to randomly throw it. Then I'm going to go back there without telling them and see when their body gets it. And then I see that they get it. I say, good. See, now your body gets it.
Absolutely.
Repetition is the key.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Donato, I don't know if you're actually like a full member or if you're a light member, but if you're a light member, you can access the Ngo Dac Na 101 course. There's tons of great training in there for someone that is solo training, as well as if you're a junior or above. There's still the Ngo Dac Na 101, but you can also obviously do more forms like in the Tai Chi, the Wing Chun, section, as well as do more things in the core training in advance. So there's plenty of stuff inside the site for you to work on. And Dominic, he says the question of Rick62. I'm gonna have to log in to see because I'm not logged in right now. So give me a moment and I'll see what you're sending me, Dominic. I'm trying to think what my password is. Pressure.
No, that's not the password. Pressure. I don't think it's the password.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. I don't know if you've seen this because, Sifu hasn't been on Slack in a hot minute.
I was there
She's a
yesterday.
slacker.
Did you see this then?
I tried to click on it. It wouldn't open. It was
went
black.
open?
It was black.
All right. We'll have to see.
I
if
saw
we
the
can
one
fix
with the
that
posture with the guy's knee in the hand like this.
Yeah,
on
yeah.
a small image when I tried to enlarge it, wouldn't open up.
All right. So I'll have to send these. So yeah, they're
I'm not
basically.
slacker. I'm just lazy.
Which is the difference. We found that out recently.
There is a difference because my daughter kept saying that she was lazy and we found out she's more of a slacker than lazy, but that's a whole nother story for another day. We should have a whole podcast about children and all that fun stuff. So yeah, they were basically wanting to know what your thoughts were with these different positions in this book and their balance and the things that they were talking about.
I didn't see the book, so I don't know what they're saying.
All right, so we'll have to follow up with that another time. So I'll have to send over Sifu the actual images so he can see them and we'll do that.
Yeah, for some reason when I opened up in Slack, it just went blank. It just didn't open up. I closed it, opened it, closed it several times just to see.
Oh, okay. Now I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I hadn't gotten over to that. So okay. I was in the email, so I didn't see that you had posted that over there yet. So he said that Rick wanted to know, he posted a breathing meditation on breathing, and I practice about 2 times a week on the Ngo Dac Na lessons. Is there something on that type of meditation?
I can't answer what the other thing is saying, so I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look at it to let you know. So we'll save that for another thing, or we'll get on Slack after this and we'll check it out and get you a better answer for that, Dominic. All right, so Melanie asks, my husband has a hard time understanding how to go lighter when I ask him to help me practice. How can I help him learn that?
Okay, let's change the word from lighter to slower. That's how you do it. Because the lighter is not on him. The lighter is actually on you. So if he's pushing and you feel pressure, it's because you're fighting that pressure. Remember, pressure, the definition of pressure is oppositional force. So if he's coming out of force, whatever the force is, and you feel it's heavy, it's because you're slowing it down. So if you want him to go lighter, you have to ask him to move slower, because then you'll be able to handle the speed and you'll be able to move with him and you won't increase the pressure.
Right, and slowly build up the speed.
Yeah, as you get comfortable. So lighter is actually tell him to go, can you go slower for me? Because then you can move with him. Let's just say he's moving at 15 miles an hour, you can only move 5. Going lighter means that he has to go at a speed where you can move with him.
She said that he's not pushing, he's trying not to let her move at all. So he's muscling you.
He's resisting.
He needs to stop muscling you. Let him know that he has to lighten that muscle. I know you got lots of muscle, baby, but lighten up on me so I can learn the technique. And then as you get that, he can increase the pressure on you, and eventually you'll be able to.
Okay, I'm going to show you, I don't know what it is you're doing in terms of his resistance. Just understand this. If he's counting you, then you have to find the counter. A lot of times if you do the move in the beginning first, and you did it, let's say he said do it again, he'll hold harder. It's not because he's holding stronger. Most of the time, for example, if I did this and he's going light, right, and I turn him and I work like this, and then I try to do it again, I do that, and he might pull me, and I don't realize it. And in my head, I'm like, wait, can you go lighter? But he's not really going lighter. He's actually changing the way the energy is moving. So he can feel that the first time, let's say you broke it. So every time you do this, now I'm turning, he's actually changing the way it is.
I was just gonna say, we talked about this in a video we just filmed yesterday, where your partner being committed to something means you're committed to doing just that. If he moves his hand and I do this,
then he's
no
changing.
longer committed.
Right, he's changing the way it works, and you have to sense that, and that's where your sensitivity is. I'm going like this here, he might counter me, so now I sense it. See, every time he counters it, I sense it. So now I'm able to counter that counter. So you got to pay attention, because that's very common. That your mindset was on doing the move. Okay, so I don't know what it is. So let's just take this as the move. And my mindset was, I'm going to grab him like this. That was my mindset. So let's say you successfully did the first time. Okay, you just do it again. This time he's holding tighter. And it's not that he's holding tight, but the moment you move, he moved you. But your mindset was to lock him, and you didn't sense the motion and the energy pressure. But you're like, how come I can't lock him this time? It worked the first time because it worked the first time. You think that he's doing the same thing and he's not. And you think he's actually holding tighter. It's not. It's just the moment you move, he might be changing the way he's holding on. You change the wrist
And then
grip.
what happens is,
And you're gonna try harder for the same
you're
thing.
start forcing, and then you're not going to be feeling your partner no more. You're actually feeling
You're
your
going
own force.
against it. Yeah. And so you have to pay attention to feeling what you do like this. And if I'm doing this, and just do it slow. Like if I do this and say, listen, just stop me from doing it. Okay, wait, okay. Think 3 proof. Okay, here I'm gonna cut. Now if he changes it, okay, wait, I feel I can't do it. So just 3 proof. Oh wait, 3 proof.
And what you'll find is,
And you'll find that you're
there
always
might
on
be
the
3 or
point.
4 moves that actually was in that one move.
Yeah,
that way.
and technically it's only because you're slow and he counted. You're slow and he felt the difference and he counted. And you gotta pay attention. He's not doing it on purpose. It's subconscious. His body's fighting because after he learned the first time that this didn't work, he's gonna naturally change it so he can. So now, the moment I move, he's actually changing his wrist. See, before he just held strong. He didn't counter the wrist at all. He just held it and I'm breaking it. But once I do that, and subconsciously, he's not going to let you do it. So he's going to subconsciously turn that wrist or push the arm or move the hand down. He's going to do something that's going to change that energy control. Just remember, first rule is what does the energy dictate? So if I'm doing this and he had no motion, I can do anything. But once I do this and he counts it and he does something, it's like, wait. Now the energy says to go this way. It didn't say neutral. It said, so now I have to go forward that way. And if he changes it while I'm doing this, then I have to change. So anytime he does, I'm still on point. And see, now he's done. I control the point. So you gotta be careful and pay attention to that because it's very common. We've gone through this with many people. Like they'll do the move the first time and it works, and then after that they can't get it to work. Like, how come I can't do it the second time? Because people are changing the way the energy structure is and the way that they're holding and moving the energy at the same time. So you have to pay attention to that. Watch out for that. I had a student in Israel, and he could not wrist lock. He's an Aikido guy. He said nobody can wrist lock me. But I wrist locked him. I took him out easy. But he had a strong student, a very, very strong student. He could not lock him. He kept going to me like, I can't lock him. I mean, every time I was like, are you going for the lock or are you going for the takedown? You know, what's your mindset at this point? Am I trying to break free and get the grip, or am I trying to convert the energy? What's your mindset? If your mindset is, oh, I'm going to take the grip from him, I always say don't break grip, take grip. So you're not trying to get out of the move. You learn how to get into a move. So when someone's gripping you, don't break grip, take grip. You are not trying to get away from the grip. You're converting it so you can put yourself into the grip. So you got to watch for that, the mindset. And then anyway, the student I was telling you, I went off story there, but I was telling him, stop locking him down. Stop trying to think that you have to lock him down. Know where your point is that you're going to, and no matter what he does, just go to that point. And he called me up like 3 weeks ago and just said, I did it. I did exactly what you said. And when he moved, I didn't try to yank him back because his common thing was he was thinking to lock the guy's wrist. So every time he was doing this, the guy moved, he would move the hand back, trying to go back. And so he's no longer locking, he's now pulling. Whereas if he was moving his hand, I can move with him. I still keep the lock. No matter how he moves, I'm still going to keep the lock. I locked the point. So whether he moved here, it's the same as if he didn't move. I'm going to treat the lock. I'm always going to go for that wrist point right here. Always go for the wrist point. And wherever he moves his hand, I'm going to move for that wrist point. I'm always going to do the same thing. It's never going to change. No matter how he moves it. When most people subconsciously, I go for the lock. Oh, he moved. Oh, I'm going to bring it back so I can lock him up. So am I really locking him, or am I pulling back the position to try to get the lock? When he goes this way, I'm going to move this way while locking him. So when he moves his arm this way, I'm still going to lock him. It doesn't really matter. So it's about understand how to control that energy, okay? Most people are not controlling the energy. They're going with that mindset that I got to get them down, so they'll do everything they can. So pay attention to the feel that you have, and it's going to help you a lot. Just feel it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it's a kind of mindset attack.
Yes, absolutely.
Your mindset is very important. I got to do a lecture on the mindset
and
how it changes the way you move just because of your mindset.
Yeah. And Dominic said that, when he was practicing with Greg, he wasn't counting, but his grip was so good that it forced him to do it properly. That's good. And you guys did a lot of wrist grab escapes. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. That's great training for you. So John, he said, when I do Tai Chi, usually I do it by watching a YouTube video with a river, stream flowing, or waves on the beach instead of music. Is that okay? Absolutely, that's okay. That's God's music. Hello. That's already music.
Unless you're seafood, you like to leave the house.
The river might smell like mold. I wouldn't want to smell it. No, I'm kidding. It's in the river. Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The goal is
I don't know if
to
you've ever
feel, learn from the movement.
something
you know,
that's
feel the movement.
relaxing and get you into that state of mind where you can feel the energy and flow with it. That's perfect. If you ever get a chance to actually go to the beach and do Qigong or Tai Chi, that's amazing. Or being out in the mountains by a waterfall or a stream, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff there. Dominic says, do you like spicy foods?
Yes, I'm Asian, of course. It's
I love
natural. It's
spicy
part of my
foods,
heritage.
Him, not so much. He's meh. I like spicy
I like
foods.
mild.
I like to
spicy
say
foods.
spice is nice,
5.
especially
Anything
with rice,
past-
and you don't eat it with ice.
Anything past 5 is just too much for me.
My friends actually joke that I should like bring cayenne pepper with me like wherever I go in my purse. So yeah, I love spicy foods.
Spicier is nicer.
He goes, want a super hot pepper. What's the spiciest pepper you've ever eaten?
Kimchi's good for you.
I've eaten a lot of spice stuff. Where I'm at, there's this place that's California Tortilla. They have all the spices of the world on the shelf, and they gave me the hottest one. I just dipped myself. That's all right.
Was it the ghost pepper? Have you had ghost pepper?
It was a bottle like this, and it was supposed to be one of the spiciest things.
Ghost pepper is really, really hot. I have a hot sauce with it.
I had ghost pepper. I've eaten it.
It's, you know,
It's
that's the
spicy, but
hottest
it's
one.
not to the point where I can't handle. I can eat it.
Yeah, I probably can't eat a whole one like that, but I can handle a little bit of that. So I probably can't, I don't have as much spice receptors going on there. And he says, did it increase your chi? And he was kidding on the last one. Well, it does increase your energy, so kind of, sort of.
It does bring up the body heat.
Yep. Helps the metabolism and all that good stuff. All right, so Melanie said, my husband added habanero to his already hot salsa. He kept asking me if I wanted some. Not. Yeah, habanero is very hot too. I like habanero. That's good stuff. And Russ says, I've heard a remedy for really hot spice is not water, but something sweet such as whipped cream.
Water's
Milk,
actually
they say
very
they
bad.
say milk.
Water's
Well,
terrible.
It's milk.
which, yeah, as I say, it's the dairy and the whipped
It's the
cream.
dairy. It's the milk. That's why.
Oh yeah, no, habanero is definitely child's play, but it's one.
Yeah, habanero's nothing.
Yep.
That's like eating like sugar. It's like, it's not hot.
Let's see, is anything else going on?
Kimchi. Someone asked if kimchi was good. I thought kimchi is very good.
Oh
for you.
yeah, I love kimchi.
It's
Kimchi's
very
yummy.
good for you. It's very.
I
good
get
for
the
your
Yeah, I
spicy
don't need
one.
kimchi. No
I get this-
meat, not meat.
Wow, what? Really, you're Asian and you don't eat kimchi? It's hot. It's spicy.
I agree.
You can. Yeah, but still, I'm not Korean and I love it. Just put it on your meat.
I'm a protein
It's good,
guy.
it's
I
good.
need protein.
It's good for your stomach. It's good for your.
Yeah, the probiotics. In
The
it.
probiotics.
Mhm.
It's good for
Yep. Let's see.
you. Seafood is eat meat.
And then we have one more that we'll ask real quick. I've been practicing the ring training. Sorry, I can't even talk right now. The ring training, but I'm not sure if my form is correct. Can you demonstrate it live, showing the entire body? I'm going to answer this real quick. The reason, okay, I do most of the filming. So if I don't show the feet, it's because it's actually irrelevant and he's just generally like in a neutral stance. And that's not the main focus of what you need to be doing in your thing. We actually did a YouTube video.
Unless he says, and with your feet, you need to
Right.
do X, Y.
Well,
and Z."
then I show the feet. That's
Right.
that's the whole point. So we actually did a YouTube video about like how Sifu was talking about how like your stances and stuff like that.
Oh, I'm
See,
sorry.
that's because
I'm
he
not answering. I don't have any energy right now.
But yeah, so we did a YouTube video about like how your feet are as important as you think because you know as Sifu you talk about
It's
all
the
the
root.
time. Yeah, it's the root that is, and if your body needs to go in a direction, your feet are going to follow whatever it needs to be. If someone pushes you over, you don't have to think about where my feet are going to go. Your feet are going to naturally plant wherever
As
it
long
needs
as
to
your
be.
core is strong, it's right. If the core
Right.
is right, your feet will naturally find.
So generally, if you don't see us filming the feet or the legs, it's because it's irrelevant. You can be in a lower horse stance if you want. You can be in a neutral stance if you want. You can switch it up when you're doing your ring training. It's all up to you.
And don't get me wrong when I say the foot is not as important. It is important in terms of, you know, it's what you connect you to the ground.
Right.
But from the foot up, it's your core.
Yeah.
And if that core's off, it can't go to your hands. So it's important to have a strong core, and your feet naturally find it for you. You know, when you move, when I do like steps like this, and I practice steps, you know, if I'm here like this, it's your core when I move. It's because of the core. It's not because I practice footwork and I try to do this with my feet. Because look, the core is still right. That's why people do this. And it's still your core. But if you're like this with your core, of course you're gonna fall off. You know, It's your core that's going to set your feet for you. And my point that I always say is like, if you have a strong core, your feet naturally find this proper footwork. Okay, you see people when they punch, they go like this, and they go like, and that core is often so they'll go up in the toes, they go there. For us, when I punch, I tell people, sink your root, go and feel the ground, and get your core and root yourself, and your feet naturally find it. You don't have to think about it; it just does it automatically. That's why if you get pushed and you course right, you'll just step and you'll land right. But if you're off balance, you're going to take 3-4 steps to find your root before your body stabilizes. So it's very important for your core, because without the core, your footwork's going to be poor.
Right.
Just simply put, your footwork's going to be poor.
He was also asking for the cutting movement, which I think it was this one that he's talking about with the ring. He wanted to know if the movement is coming from the forearms, the waist, or both.
Are you an Abbott member? Because if you're not an Abbott member, I'm not answering it. I'm kidding. But you're talking about when I'm turning the ring?
Yeah, I think it's that one. Yeah.
I don't know which one he's talking about.
I'm pretty sure it's that one.
The gun sound?
Yeah.
The gun sound is the one where you're talking about when I talk about turning this way, right? So
yeah, I think that's
it's
which
here.
I do show the feet in that one, by the way.
Yeah, so it's like this, and you're doing this all the pressure here. When you turn your wrist, that's when you should turn your waist, and just let your foot see if my core is. See, if you're talking about this one, when I'm turning like this, I'm hitting like this, if this is the video talking about, it's really let your wrist and your waist decide when to move, and just let your feet naturally sit for you. Don't worry about your feet. Don't think about your feet. Think about your core. Time your wrist with your waist. Yeah. And that's what's going to help you. Don't think about the feet. The feet will help you. Once and the wrist and the waist together.
Yeah, like check out our stuff on the waist, WRAIST, because that'll help you with working on moving your wrist and your waist as well.
At the same time.
Yeah. And Russ says, we three should have a spice off. Well, we don't really need to. I can already tell Sifu's going to be number 1. I'll be number 2, and Sifu Larry will be number 3.
I take a lot of spice.
Sweet, yummy stuff.
So yeah, we don't even need to do that. I can already line us up here. I'll be second place, he'll be first place, and he'll be third. So Dominic says he'll come and do it. Dominic, then I might be in third. I'm not sure. You might be able to handle a little more spice than me. So all right, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we are good to go. I don't see any more questions anywhere. And we're a little bit after our time, so you got a little bit extra goodies on today's members webinar. We appreciate all of you being on here, and we look forward to seeing you all next week. And this replay will be up on YouTube as well as in the weekly update.
Take every question for next week.
Yeah, feel free to send any questions in next week. I'll send out an email on either Monday or Tuesday. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.